Former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are set to hold dueling 2024 campaign rallies in New Hampshire today. DeSantis will appear at a town hall event just a few hours before Trump speaks at a luncheon about 40 miles away. A Republican women's group criticized DeSantis' decision to hold an event at around the same time as the former president's visit. Washington Post deputy politics editor for campaigns and CBS News political contributor Sean Sullivan joins us now for more on tonight's events. Sean, great to see you, my friend. So this is kind of, we're sort of a horse racey kind of a thing, but which event is generating more buzz?
Well, I think that's what we're going to find out here in a few hours. You have the former president, who is Donald Trump, who's going to be speaking midday at this event hosted by a local Republican women's group. Then you have Ron DeSantis, who is the clear second place candidate in the race right now, but is well behind Donald Trump, hosting his own event. And so we'll get a sense later of enthusiasm in the crowd for both candidates, what kinds of messages and things they have to say. Right now, though, it looks like an uphill climb in New Hampshire for Ron DeSantis. As I said, he is the clear second place candidate right now, but he's well behind Donald Trump. And remember, the last time there was an open Republican race in New Hampshire was 2016. Donald Trump was the winner of that primary. So I think a lot of people are watching this visit right now. It's a rare moment when you see two sort of top tier candidates in the state at the same time. You can sort of do this side by side comparison in the campaign. And so I think a lot of political observers will be looking at today's events.
Yeah, that's what I wondered about. I wondered about whether this was just an error in scheduling because, they don't know what each other's doing, or if it was really done on purpose to sort of challenge, because you remember Donald Trump there was supposed to be another rally right in Iowa, and it was sort of coinciding with when Ron DeSantis was down in Iowa, and he changed the times. And so I wondered if this was like a response to that, because he knew that what we were going to be doing, observers were going to do, we were going to be comparing crowd size and enthusiasm and making a determination as to whether or not there is more energy behind one candidate or another. Is this just part of a sort of a smart campaign move?
Well, look, these campaigns are always watching each other to see what the other one is doing. So, when it comes to these campaigns, there's a lot of looking out for, what your opponent is doing. It is notable that some of the people who are affiliated with Donald Trump's event today were sort of taken aback by the fact that Ron DeSantis would make this appearance and actually spoke out publicly and said, look, what are you doing? Why are you coming in to this state at a time when the former president is here? He's speaking, with us. You haven't seen the DeSantis people apologize or back down from that in any way. So I think they welcome this sort of side-by-side comparison. They want this to sort of feel like a two-person race, like it's just them against Donald Trump. But again, when you look at these polls, it really is an uphill climb. The other thing I would say is we should watch the candidate messages today, because when you look at Trump and you look at DeSantis, they're running on pretty hard right platforms. But New Hampshire's a state with a lot of independent voters who can cross over and vote in these primaries. And so sometimes that hard right message that plays well in Iowa or other states doesn't necessarily play well in New Hampshire. We should keep an eye on what they actually have to say and how they sort of, perhaps adjust their pitches to the voters that they're talking to when they're on the ground today.
Sean, as you know, both Trump and DeSantis have been targeting New Hampshire. How has the messaging in the state thus far differed? And I guess, it's sort of interesting to me to see how the voters in New Hampshire are considering both candidates. What are you learning?
Well, a couple of things. One, New Hampshire is a state where voters really want to see candidates up close. They want to talk to them. They want to see them in close-up settings. And they want to ask questions of the voters. And the last time that Ron DeSantis was in New Hampshire, he took some heat for not taking questions. These town hall events in New Hampshire are famous because voters ask generally pretty tough questions of these candidates, and they want to know them, and they want to hold them to account on certain things. So we'll see today. It looks like DeSantis may take questions at the event that he is at. And it also remains to be seen, kind of how the voters see former President Trump now versus how they used to see him. As I said earlier, there's a lot of independent voters who might participate in this process, who might not be drawn to the kind of hardline politics that the former president is engaging in, who might be turned off by the indictments that he faces, even though the former president is using that as a rallying cry. So on the whole, these candidates are running on pretty hard right platforms. But at times, we've seen them adjust things. And one issue I would say we should look out for today is the issue of abortion. Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida has signed a 6-week abortion ban. In the state of New Hampshire, abortion is not an issue that plays the same way it does in Iowa, where you have a lot of conservative activists who are really eager for hardline approaches on abortion. There's more of an anti-abortion streak in New Hampshire. So will Ron DeSantis bring that up today, or will he try not to mention that? I think it's another question we're going to want to keep an eye on when we look at what these candidates have to say.
Sean Sullivan, thank you so much.